What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team, we've reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. As always, I like to say, you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting Friday, April 4th, first Friday of April. That means Wayne Harris will be with us momentarily. Ryan has told me after he walks his kids that he'll be with us. But you know what? We got someone in the mix today, a wonderful individual who's married to a wonderful lady, human being, and two wonderful kids. I'm going to bring him up right now. He likes to say, my brother from another mother, Roger Dundas. What is going on? I'm doing outstanding. Happy to have you here.
Hey, happy to be here.
Yeah, you see, you always joke me once in a while and say, you know, when are you ready for me to come on? When are you ready for me to come on?
No, that's not true. You're asking me to come on.
Okay, I'll go 50-50. I'll go 50-50.
Elbowing me and asking me to come on the show.
Well, you know, we'll get some elbow. How are things with the Dundas family?
You know what? I like to always say they're living their best life, man. They're doing good.
100%. Fantastic. How are things in the world of Buy Blacks? How are things? You can tell some people, even though it's not too early, about Restaurant Week that's coming up. So tell us what's going on.
Restaurant Week. I mean, the summary of Restaurant Week is that it's the 5th year that we're doing it. It's the 8th time that it's happening.
Wow.
And we have participants from 6 provinces, allegedly. So I say allegedly because there's one province that hasn't submitted their participants as yet. So we're still waiting on them. But it's you know what? It's so much work. I gotta say, which is why we cut it down to once a year in the first place. It was so much work, and you almost feel sometimes like you're doing the work, but some people are not appreciating it as well. So that's the sad part of it. But then you realize that, you know, restaurants, food business is a tough business.
It's not getting any easier.
Yeah, and the tariffs are impacting them right down to breweries like microbreweries. The cost of the aluminum cans are going up. So you know, these are things. You know, I wouldn't know these things if I wasn't in conversation with different types of food businesses. So, you know, I think just in general, they've done a good job of trying to switch over the products from imports to local,
right?
To buy more local produce. But there's just certain things that we just don't do. You know, we don't do strawberries and oranges. And
exactly.
We don't have the temperature for those products, so we got to source those. And sometimes, you know, the South is where the closest, cheapest available product is. So, yeah.
Got it. You know, Roger, why don't you tell people a little about Buy Blacks, because we will have some people who have not heard about Buy Blacks.
You know, there's so many people that don't watch or consume Black media. So let's just start with that. There's so many people that don't consume Black media. So, you know, there are still people, not just Buy Blacks. So BuyBlacks.com is an online magazine that focuses on telling Black Canadian stories. We are now 12 years old.
What?
Yeah, so we started February 17th, 2013. So we are 1 year and counting now. You know, we have morphed into something that's
I'm looking at your face. Yeah.
You know, because I always said it, the initial concept of Buy Blacks was a directory, you know, and we quickly learned that's not something that is sustainable, and it's not something that would get a lot of visitors to your platform. So we quickly morphed. We started from day one. We started out telling stories, and we've changed the way how we tell stories. So we in the past, and this is good for people who are watching this live or on the repeat. We used to do a lot of profile stories, like have a business, interview the owner or an artist and everything. We moved away from that formula, and we're more like in-depth storytelling. So similar to what the Walrus does or what the Atlantic does.
Yes.
So so when people are pitching, that's you have to think of it, like how is my boat, product, service, blah blah blah, connected to a deeper issue that's impacting Black Canadians. So yeah, so we've had over 100 writers, I think, at this point that have contributed articles to the magazine. Contrary to my competitors' belief, we pay all our writers. There's some competitors that thought that we didn't pay our writers.
Huh.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure why they thought that, but actually, we pay all our staff, full stop. Period. Every team member gets paid. There's no free work. Free work is slavery. We don't do slavery. Right?
Absolutely. Well, there's some people already in the chat. Fitness IQ says, "Morning, Fitness IQ." She also says, "Woo!" She goes, Mr. Rogers. No, he's not Mr. Rogers' name is Mr. Roger, not Roger. There's Frequency Event Promotion says, well, Dr. Vibe and Roger done this. I need some popcorn or cornmeal pudding with sorrel. And then
what's a movie?
Yeah, Fitness IQ goes, why? No slavery. Yeah, no slavery. We ain't gonna do that. All right, for people who are watching live on the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube channel, if you are up to it, can you type in the city and country you're watching from? So we just want to see where people are chiming in from this morning. Also, brand new. So I had some surprise. I like to always see if I can get a new surprise for everybody today. Well, one, Roger's here for us with us today, and then two, I am now broadcasting on Substack. Yes, this is broadcast live on Substack. I've got some guidance on and been told, suggest Dr. Vibe, you may want to start creating stuff on Substack. I am doing that now. A lot of people who even know, if you don't know about Substack, that's an offline conversation. But a lot of content creators and not like media people have Substack channels. Like they're people like your Chris Cuomo's, your Angela Rise, and it's a wonderful platform from what I've seen so far. And it also now allows live streaming in real time on Substack. Okay. I'm very happy to be doing that today. So full of interesting things today on the show, and love it. Anything else before we go to break you want to chat up about today, Roger? Just in general.
Hey, we're going to chat with Wayne, man. Wayne's the star of the show. I'm the best supporting actor today.
And you know what? And I invited you and said, yeah, I've got one or two questions for Wayne, and obviously want to talk. You had mentioned in the last few minutes about the tariffs, their impact. There's various millions of things. Go ahead.
Yeah, investments. It's perilous right now. So I'm really interested to find out his thoughts on navigating investments through this time. So I think that's really it. But just you did ask me about Restaurant Weekend. I didn't even mention.
Yeah, do please.
Yeah, it's May the 12th to the 18th. So it's Monday, May the 12th to Sunday, May 18th. It's the day. So just so everybody will know, going forward, it's going to start the day after Mother's Day. So that's an easy indication, Mother's Day, and then Restaurant Week starts the next day. Unfortunately, most Black-owned restaurants are not open on Mondays or Tuesdays.
You've shared that with me over the years.
Yeah, that's been my observation, and I think there's one or two that are open on Mondays, which is always a struggle. We're going to be doing a kickoff event. It's private, invite only, so it's not open to the public, but It's at an undisclosed location so far. Right? So
so far.
people who are going to be invited will start to receive their invitation by next week, Friday. They should
Nice.
have them in their inbox. You will love it. It's 7 chefs that are providing food samples along with 4 beverage companies, 1 wine, 1 beer, 1 rum punch, and a lemonade brand. So, and it's all free. It's all complimentary, but you have to be invited. Yeah.
Well, interesting enough, Frequency Event Promotion says, Roger, send me the sponsorship package, good sir. Okay.
The question I would ask Frequency Event Promotion is why? Why would I send it?
Oh, okay. I'll let that be.
Uh,
And Shirley puts, good morning, family. Drop your city and country in the chat. This is for our YouTube people. Where you're tuning in the morning vibe from. Let's see how I like this. Let's see how global our vibes are today. I love that take. I love that. And I'll leave it to the end. Actually, I'll mention a little bit here. Shirley's been an intern doing production of the morning vibe and a lot of the shows over the last few months, and she's been doing an incredible job. And unfortunately, today is her last day.
Oh no!
But we're gonna have a proper send off at the end, and then her and I will do an offline send off before that. And Frequency of Brentpone says, you were on the last conversation. Okay, that's between you and him.
You send you.
Yeah, I think you said you would send it over during our last.
You know what? Let's take it offline.
Offline, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're pretty much closed. I mean, at this point, because
yeah.
we're moving to the production of the marketing materials, because things need to be shipped over to BC, Alberta, New Brunswick, PEI, Halifax. So we have to kind of finish everything now and kind of get it out there to the restaurants and all the different food businesses. So it's So
yeah, it's done. But you can, and GR Houston Jack, good morning, watching from Houston, Texas. Love it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go on a break, then we'll come back, we'll show the map, we'll do some housekeeping stuff. We're going to have Mr. Wayne Harris, and going to be an interesting roundtable. Going to be an interesting roundtable. So we will be back in 30 seconds. It's prime time Saturday with Aisha and Lala. So if it's prime time with Aisha and Lala, it's prime time to bring them on the stage.
When someone asked Comer to take it down, he said no because it was in the form of a question. This isn't Jeopardy.
It's going to be interesting to see how the world reacts. But for America, they're the one who put them there. So guess what? Somebody else worry about it.
So he doesn't have the popularity to win a race like that. So what does he do? He buys himself a government position.
All right, we are back on the morning vibe, and that is Primetime Saturday with Aisha K. Staggers and Laura Lala Key, where the two ladies try to make. Oh, what happened there? We lost Roger for a second. No problem. Where they try to make sense of the nonsense that's going on in America. I know Roger will be back. Just a technical thing. All right, let's do some housework. All right. Please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. We are now clean 1,750 subscribers. So our next, Roger's back. Our next plateau is 1,760 subscribers. And I must say, on the YouTube, I've been very blessed the last few weeks. YouTube Shorts are taking off. And right now, I never say I figure out the algorithm, but I can see where the algorithm is taking me in regards to content creation and what gets the best results. Believe it or not, politics and American politics, the algorithm's loving it, especially that president. As I think I told Roger, because Roger and I chat all the time earlier on this week, I posted a short by one of their writers, Perry Douglas, and it has become the most watched YouTube short ever I've had on my platform. And then another one by our friend Mr. Harris is coming up in a second. Again, those two have become the most watched And Wayne's clip was about taxes in the United States, and Perry was about the president of the United States. Just went crazy. All right. Please like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Please email me at dr@thedrvibeshow.com. Advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms. Again, email me, dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. And then finally, Indie Soup TV, Dr. Tachi's creation. I'm glad I'm part of it. Coming near 25,000 subscribers in 1 year on the YouTube platform. There is the information there. Let's do one more comment. Who's up here? Frequency of Everyone says, no worries. Next year sounds good to me. And then it says, have a good day, gentlemen. So obviously he must be on the run. J.R. Houston Jack says, to open up the conversation, there is no way to make sense of the nonsense going on in the U.S. right now. Well, you're in it, so you have a good perspective. And one last thing before we bring Wayne up, let's just see where everyone is chiming in from today. Let's do share. All right, so we've got, a lot of people from North America right here, all here, and we got lots of people. J.R. Houston Jack from Houston. All right, let's take that down. Let's bring up Mr. Wayne Harris. What is going on?
Let's go. Let's go. How's my audio?
It's fine. You're doing all right. You're doing all
Fantastic.
right.
Roger. Good to see you, brother.
Yes, it's been too long.
Facts, but I'm coming to fill my belly up restaurant week. No, but not on a Monday.
No, not. Well, you'll be invited to the Monday event, so hopefully we'll see you there.
You're a good man. I appreciate that. No, you're absolutely right, because when I at my spots here out in Peel, because they work Saturday, Sunday, they want Monday, Tuesday off, so they're not working 7 days a week.
Yeah,
I kind of understand it. You have a family, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if you can afford, if you're paying rent 24/7, may as well be open. I don't know. That's just me.
We met a lady down in Little Jamaica, and she said she opened on all public holidays, and she said those days were some of her best days because there's so many people not cooking, looking for food, and if you're open, they're gonna come to you, right?
100%.
A lot of Chinese restaurants do that. They don't go on holidays, right? And they just tremendous business because everybody else is closing. So
and strategically located next to cultures that don't celebrate Christmas.
Correct. Exactly. Well, don't celebrate those particular
correct
holidays, right? They have different holidays that don't really. It's not a holiday for the rest of Canada. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, look, Roger, I know you have some questions, but do you want to let's roundtable first about the tariffs, or Roger, do you have a question about investments? How you want to roll?
No. Wayne is. I tell you, I'm just the best supporting actor. I'm just, Wayne has a rhythm. Do not interrupt his rhythm.
Roger, you're a good man. I like you. This is why I continue to go.
Questions.
No. Okay, let's just take it from the top. Listen, what a crazy beginning to the second quarter. Q2 ended just last week, and we're 4 days in, and the madness has begun. I am watching this theater, and I can only call it theater because this is manufactured. Okay, but before we get into all of that, let's just say what a tariff actually is. A tariff is a tax or a fee that a government will impose to foreign products being imported into the United States. In this case, if something costs $1 to come into the US and it's coming from a certain country with a certain tariff, the price of the good has gone up by, in many cases, 10% or 25%. You're paying $1 before, now you're paying $1.25 for the exact same thing. But the government takes that 25% and they do whatever they want with that money. But you're paying more for the exact same good you were paying for before the tariff was imposed. which is going to cause a couple of things. So one, there's something called an ad valorem tariff. This is a percentage tariff. These are the tariffs that Trump is putting on all countries of consequence, let's just say. He's not doing it to every country. He's doing it to countries of consequence, countries that have tariffs that basically put a tariff on U.S. goods coming into their country. And they've been doing it from time. We're talking all the way back to the 1930s. The second kind of tariff is a specific tariff where there's a fixed amount based on the good coming in. And the third is a combination tariff, which may have percentages and a fee attached to it. So this is what a tariff is. It's a fee attached onto goods from foreign countries by a domestic government who takes that revenue and does whatever they want with it. Some will say they'll give it back to the people. Some will say they'll use it for whatever they want to use it for. It's a negotiating tool with countries that you want to trade with and you want to get a better deal. And the master of the deal, he wrote a book on it over 40 years ago, is Donald J. Trump. So let's just start there. Is that clear? We understand what a tariff is? Good stuff.
Got it.
Yeah, allegedly the tariff itself, or tax really, is supposed to be used to help the industry in which the goods or services are being levied on. So, like with let's pick eggs, for example.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say, okay, we're going to tax it 25%, and we're going to take that 25% and shore up the egg farmers in the U.S. I'm not sure that that's what's actually happening,
right.
But that's the intent of it. Yeah. So
100%. So you're gonna know that the local governments, the local industries like tariffs, because what was more expensive than foreign product may now be less expensive than foreign product because of the tariffs. So you're helping prop up local businesses, and you're generating revenue for your government, and you can use it as a negotiating tool to get people back to the table who were refusing to get to the table before the tariff was imposed. Go ahead, Roger.
So it's not necessarily a negative thing. I mean, as you said, it's been around from the 30s, and pretty much every country in the world has different tariffs on different goods just to help and protect their local producers. I think it's the vindictive way in which the tariffs are being used, which is what people are having a problem with across the world. So it's not, we're sitting in Canada, we're thinking, oh my God, he's putting all these tariffs on Canada, but there's some wicked tariffs going on Australia, on Japan, on China. It's just everywhere,
Right.
And I don't think at the end of the day, based on what I'm seeing, I've been consuming a ton of American news that I would normally not watch. Let me just say that. I would normally not watch it. But when I look at the different analysts critiquing it, it seems like, and I think this is what everybody's coming to the position, that it's going to impact the American citizens more than anybody else.
100%, Sir Roger. This is why we need you here more often. Vibe. Listen, when you got three bold, bald, beautiful, bespectacled black men, together, it's a beautiful thing. So Vibe, you need some glasses, because Roger and I,
Yes,
okay. So I'll buy gas just for these round tables.
Yeah. You have the blue screen glasses that you can wear. They're very stylish. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll get you up here.
Let's just do a little bit of story time. Okay, it's 2025. We're about to we just blew up the stock market around the world. Okay, which party is in power in the United States when they just blew up the stock market? Which party is in power? Let me hear from the people in the back.
Republicans.
Okay, so now we're in COVID 2020. Okay, I'm not gonna say manufactured, all right, but I'm gonna say came out of nowhere. Okay, which party was in power when the stock market imploded?
Was it the Republicans?
Yes, it was. Yes, 100% it was. Okay, let's go back. 2008, we have a financial meltdown. The stock market implodes. Which party was in power, boys and girls?
Republicans.
Right. Let's go back. 2001, we had 9/11, and the stock market imploded. Which party was in power, boys and girls?
Republicans.
All right, let's go back to 2000. Okay, dot-com meltdown. I was in the middle of that one, right? Which party was in power?
Still Mr. Bush, man.
Thank you. Let's go back to the 1989 recession. 1989, right? When house prices in Toronto, the interest rates were probably 18, 19% on a house. Which party was in power? Republicans. Okay. Do you understand the trend here? Okay. And, any one of you can go onto Google and check it for yourself, fact check it yourself. But
let's get some fact checkers live. Where did Frequency Event go?
He's gone. Well, just before you go any further, some comments here. The Wallamala said, "I wish I bought puts." J.R. Houston, Jack, who lives in Houston, says, "We are global citizens now. This tariff isn't going to do anything but put the U.S. into a depression." And she says also, the GOP has a history of destroying the U.S. economy. It's insane.
Right. So the party that touts itself as business, small government, let the businesses run it. They'll supply and demand. Adam Smith, capitalism, it'll sort itself out with the invisible hand and all that good stuff we all learned in school. Yeah.
I like that one.
But tariffs aren't the invisible hand. Tariffs are a hand looking to manipulate markets to favor the domestic economy, right? Here's what I was thinking. I was at the gym this morning, and I'm saying, anyone who has a lobby group is a special interest. And anybody who has a special interest is usually looking for favoritism from their elected officials.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they lobby. Hey, keep it this way. Don't do that. Do this, because that's in our best interest. Well, special interest groups benefit from tariffs. We have egg farmers, to Roger's point, in Canada. They have a lobby group. They're special interests.
Yep.
And the price of eggs is controlled by this legal cartel of eggs.
Consortium.
We have
consortium.
Consortium. Thank you. Listen, I've got a Mississauga vocabulary over here, right? You guys in Durham, you guys take it to the next level.
No, it's not the Durham thing. It's the DEI wife.
Let me get some finger snaps for that one. Shout out to Miss Camille. We have dairy farmers in Canada, and the dairy farmers want to ensure that Canadian product is front and center. We have a dairy lobby. We have liquor, wine. I go to the LCBO in Ontario. I do not see much Quebec wine. When I go to Quebec, I don't see much Ontario wine because they have special interests. One's called the LCBO and the other one's called the SAQ, Sécurité Alcool Québec. All right? So everyone is taking care of everyone. Listen, if you have a plumber and he lives in Hudson, Quebec, which is about 15 seconds from the Ontario border, that plumber tries to drive across the border to do work in Ontario, he has a problem. You understand? So we were doing this thing long before Trump came up. Story time again. If you think Canada was efficient and effective with our protectionism, even interprovincially, before Trump brought it to light, we were not. We've been around 157 years, or however long we've been around, and our country loves prevention. The sales prevention team in Canada is fully operational and was operational before Trump came into power. So we need to fix that. And everyone's kind of been, I go to Alberta, I go to Costco and buy wine 5 years ago at a great price. I come to Ontario, I have to go to the LCBO. Now that's changing. Now I go to Costco. Costco's finally coming along to where the other provinces that have privatized alcohol are. But the price at Costco has to be the price set by the lobby, not the free market. So we were practicing tariffs.
Sorry, it's interesting that the Costco wines, based on what I've seen, is mostly American. And
well, Costco's American, so
yeah,
yes,
American, Italian, I think some Spanish and stuff, but I didn't see a lot of Canadian options because I was looking for it.
Domestic, right? Because we have the wine rack, right, and different again, protectionists. You don't sell American wine at the wine rack; you sell only Canadian wine, right? So we have these things going on anyway. All that to say is that what I love about what's happening with Trump is Republicans do what Republicans do, okay? And this is what Republicans do. They create, I don't want to say chaos. Chaos is probably too powerful a word. But they create opportunities for a certain socioeconomic sector to benefit greatly when they come into power, almost immediately, almost as a homage to getting them into power.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are, less than 90 days into the second mandate of the American president, and here's your homage. Because when the stock market is down,
like a Durham word, homage.
That's a DEI word. No, just kidding. This homage.
There's no DEI in the Republican Party. Remember that.
Oh no.
Well, we saw. Again, I'm pretty surprised that there's a couple of people that I thought would make at least the outer circle that did not even make the room where the table is sitting. So I'm a little bit surprised that certain people, I won't name any names, but you know what they look like. They kind of look like us. They were talking.
I'll call a name. I'm surprised that Candace didn't get a portfolio.
Candace, two times in a row, Donaldson, and Scott. Those were the three I was expecting to see doing something. And even last time Ben Carson got something. So it is what it is. But now that we understand how things are happening, our job is to respond. You can't control what happens. All you can control is your response to what happens. And this is where, some people are giving up the ghost. I got some people that I listen to what they're saying and watch what they're writing on LinkedIn, and they are sky is falling people. There's nothing you can do. The sky is falling, and all you can do is run for cover for the next three plus years.
No.
But there are those who are immensely wealthy today because they bought the best companies on the planet at a discount out of nowhere.
And I bet I bet you they're buying even more today.
100%, my friend, because like I said on the last show, you have to buy the dip. The question is how deep is the dip and how long is the dip? And if your timeline from when you need your money is long enough and your risk tolerance is high enough, it's Christmas Day in the financial markets. 2 days in a row. Right? And I've seen this as an adult. I remember in 1987, I was taking the bus home from university, and someone said the stock market crashed. And I was like, the stock market? Me? I don't have any money in the stock market. I went back to my next class. But I can tell you, in 2008, I was working at Microsoft, and the stock market crashed. And I had a few shekels, and I put some shekels in that market. And man, oh man, let me tell you, no regrets. I can't remember the movie. I think it was Meet the Millers. The guy spelled regrets, R-A-G-R-E-T. No regrets. He tattooed it on his back. He said, and the guy said, "You sure there's no regrets?" He goes, "No regrets." Anyway, I digress. So 2008, Microsoft stock went to $19. The biggest software company on the planet went from $30 to $19. And everybody said Microsoft is done. Well, how can Microsoft be done when 80% of all desktops had at the time? And we were launching Windows 7. That's how old I am. So we were launching Windows 7, and Microsoft went to 19. Everybody who had some shekels bought Microsoft at 19.
Mm-hmm.
Last I checked, Microsoft is over $400. Think about that. And it should be higher. I don't understand why it's not. I mean, once they changed presidents, they went from Ballmer to Sadia, the stock went crazy because Ballmer was the governor on the stock. His style was very different than Sadia's. But now it's Christmas Day again.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go for the big seven, Microsoft, Facebook, Nvidia, Tesla, Amazon, Apple, now's the time. Now's the time. That's a big part of most people's portfolios. Those companies aren't going anywhere. So get yours.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dr.
No problem. Just want to catch up on comments. Ray McMillan says, good morning, gentlemen. Great timeline, Wayne, during all these crises mentioned. Let your audience research how much wealth grew of the wealthiest. The correlation is uncanny. Someone that I think Wayne knows, Heather Harris, says, happy Friday, gentlemen. Also, G.R. Houston Jack says, yeah, it feels like a fire sale in the U.S. for those who are wealthy. Heather says recessions are for everyone except the rich and the financially illiterate. And so interesting comment. And
financially
literate. Sorry, she says literate. My correction. And if you are watching on the Dr. Vibe show live, we've got another poll going. So the poll is, I've got a poll. So do you feel that the Trump, I said his word, I should have said 47. I don't like saying his name because that's what he wants.
It's not like Beetlejuice, Dr. Vibe. You say it 3 times, he's going to show up.
I don't want to succumb to his madness. All right. So do you feel that the 47 tariffs are fair? Press 1 for you got yes, no, or not sure. So we'll keep a track of that poll as we continue on.
Perfecto.
Question. So far, not sure. Yeah,
No,
let's see what that ends up.
We'll see how that ends up. All right. So let's go ahead, Roger.
All right. So we just brought up a very key point, and this is the thing about when there's a crisis, what's the opportunity? J.P. Morgan said the time to invest is when there's blood on the streets. That's one of his famous sayings. So I guess what Wayne is saying, there's blood on the streets now, so you should be invested. So the thing is, what does a person, and I think I'd asked this question before, like with everything that's happening right now, what changes to a person's portfolio? So let me paint a picture. Let me start with a single person who has steadily invested 10 to 20% of their $100,000 a year salary for the last 10 years. They're single, they're 37, right? What would you be advising them in their portfolio right now?
Right now? Yeah, it depends on their living situation. If they're 37 years old and they have
their own
kids,
house.
Yeah, they have kids, they own their own house and whatnot. We do a complementary financial needs analysis to see where you're at, to see where the money is going. We're looking at your cash flow. We're looking at your debt, the type of debt. Some debt is good. You have a triplex. You have multiple properties that the renters are actually paying their rent, and you're making a profit. That debt is good debt, right? We're going to look at their emergency fund situation. How much cash do you have if you lose your job? If you're in one of those industries that can be affected by the tariffs, automotive industry, retail industry, anything in agriculture, mining, steel, you're in these industries, listen, batten down the hatches, eh? You better have 6 to 12 months money, cash sitting there. I would also look at the people to make sure they have their assets in order. So you have your RSPs, your TFSAs, and apologies for the Americans. So RSP, 401k, TFSA, Roth IRA. In the US, you have the index universal life and the whole life. We have universal life and whole life for your infinite banking. You have many different asset classes that you need to look at, and some of them are affected by the markets and many are not. So if you still want to invest and you have the time and space and money to do so, there are many industries that are unaffected And many investments are unaffected by these markets and the market volatility. I said a little bit before that we need to look at your timeline. A 37-year-old isn't retiring for 28 years.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, this too shall pass. Keep on doing what you're doing. Now, rather than if you want to dump money in because you think you know the dip and the bottom, you're better than me because I don't know when it is. But what I would do is the superpower of investing. And the superpower of investing is something called dollar cost averaging. Dollar cost averaging simply means that rather than dumping money in and hoping I'm at the bottom, is I drip money in every week, every 2 weeks. And if it goes down, I'm buying better stuff cheaper. If it goes up, my good stuff that I'm buying is going up. I win or I win with dollar cost averaging. So what people need to look at is rather than dumping $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in and hoping you're at the bottom, this might be the bottom, but it might not. Take that same $25,000 or $50,000 or whatever you have and dump it in every week, $1,000 at a time over the next 25 weeks and ride it out. I was doing this analogy last night. Air Jordans are Jordan shoes, Jordan brand, the most popular brand of Nike. Nike's taking a beating from two companies. One is called On Cloud, and the other is called Hoka. And when you see Hoka, it's like people are walking on 2 inches of styrofoam under their feet, but I see no one complaining. Some of the most comfortable shoes you'll ever wear in your life. Okay? So last year when I went to Europe, I said, you know what? I have a pair of these Air Max 1s, and they're all right. But my boy said, listen, if you're going to be walking 15, 20,000 steps a day on cobblestones, you go get these things called On Cloud Monsters. I'm like, On Cloud Monsters? I go, okay. My wife goes to Sport Check, blows off the dust off the size 13s because nobody buys 13 other than me. So she blows the dust off. I get these size 13s. I get on a plane and I go to Europe. Let me tell you, fantastic. So dollar cost averaging, and why I use that analogy is imagine On Cloud shoes, which go for about $200 depending on which one you want to buy. We're on sale 50%. Men's is going out and buying 2 pairs at least because the same money I was going to spend. Same thing with stock. Apple is now 50% off, and it was in 2020, and it was in 2008, and it was in 2000 and 2001. And it may go to 50% discount now. But what I'm going to do is, as the price of what I know is good is going down, I'm buying every week. Every week. Okay? So people do this at Winners. They do it at Sport Check. They do it at the Nike store. Why don't they do it with the stock market? Why are you scared? If oxtail, okay, is $33, and someone says, I'm going to give you the same oxtail, same quality at $15, you're buying 2 oxtail and putting 1 in the freezer. Same thing with stock. When the price goes down for good stuff, your job is to get in and buy as much as you can while the getting's good. And without having to have the foresight or the knowledge or the portfolio managers and all this crazy stuff to predict it, because timing the market is impossible, but being in the market is very possible. So bring the money out of where it is. Well, if it's already in good things, go and have it analyzed. So I'll analyze it and say, you know what? How are you doing? You're paying all this and you're only getting 4% back on your money. I'll do an investor profile. See that your risk tolerance, where it's at, because I can only invest at your risk tolerance, not my risk tolerance, your risk tolerance. So once I know that your risk tolerance is higher than the returns you're getting, then I know that we have an opportunity for maybe us to work together. And then rather than trying to time it and say, buy now, put everything in there now, this is the bottom. I don't know that. I'm going to bring it over, get it out of harm's way, and then I'm going to drip it in. So it's still making money while it's out of harm's way. It goes into a money market fund. So it's here at whatever investment institution you're at. I bring it over to a money market fund. I put it into a segregated fund, not a mutual fund. Why? A mutual fund is a Ferrari with no brakes and no seatbelts and no airbags. A segregated fund is the exact same Ferrari, seatbelts, airbags, and brakes. And it costs $30 more than the Ferrari with nothing. Which Ferrari are you choosing, doctor?
I'll let my esteemed colleague with the glasses beside me answer that one.
I think everybody is well astute to the SEG fund.
You'd be surprised, Roger. I wish that were true.
Yeah,
I wish that were true.
What? That, Wayne, it shocks me that you come on here once a month and you dispel so much critical investment advice. And I know people who are watching the show, and then I ask them, I said, so what are you invested in? And they'll answer questions like, I don't have a CI policy. I'm like, they're in business. They don't have a disability insurance policy. I'm like, what are you doing? I mean, so yeah, you're right. Given the information doesn't mean that people actually act on the information. And that is a sad thing.
Nike doesn't say just think about it. It says just do it.
Just do it. Just go ahead and do it.
And the do is key. And the reason people don't do is because they don't know. When you're confused, you slow down. When you're clear, you speed up. And a lot of people are confused because the information they're getting are from sources that are self-serving. When I meet people and they say, I have a financial advisor, I say, fantastic. Let me ask you a question. I said, do you have an up-to-date notarized living will, and power of attorney? And they say, and they start stuttering, Roger. I said, yeah. I said that would be a no. Tell me this: how is it you have a financial advisor? You can't talk to me because I'm an advisor. You can't talk to me because your guy or gal is taking care of business, soup to nuts for you, but you're naked in the middle of the street and wondering why people are staring at you.
Mm-hmm.
The implications and impact of not having an estate plan is devastating to those who remain behind you, especially if you have a bag of money in there and they can't get it.
And children.
Bob Marley is still in probate.
Yep.
Aretha Franklin is still in probate. Prince is still in probate. Chadwick Boseman is still in probate. Twitch is still in probate. Right? Tina Turner was not in probate, but she gave everything to her husband. And there's nothing wrong with that. He just doesn't look like us, and there's nothing wrong with that. But none of that money is coming back to the Black community that supported her entire career. Kobe Bryant is not in probate, but Vanessa Bryant didn't even give his father any money. He died.
Yeah, there were some problems there. There were some personal problems.
Before it even happened. So I get it.
Yeah.
So all this to say that dollar cost averaging for the everyman, for the every woman, is your way to play in the most volatile sea and know that what vessel you're in can't be sunk.
And consistency.
Okay? And because it's auto magic, every week, every 2 weeks, every month, there's no emotion tied to it. But over time, it has proven itself to return better than you guessing when the market's going to go up and go down. The market is in a spectrum. On the left is fear. On the right is greed. And every week, that meter moves one way or the other. The market is way this way to the left on fear, which is like the bat signal for people with money to get themselves in the market. If there's any confusion about what I'm saying here today, understand this. The bat signal is up. Be Batman. Go and respond to the bat signal. And if you don't know how to respond to the bat signal, find your bald, Bajan, bespectacled financial advisor to come and help you get clarity on what you need to do for your family in your personal situation. Back to you, doctor.
All right, on fire. the three shine heads. All right, the Walla Mala shine head. I had to put the musical lyric in there. The Walla Mala says, "How do you know the $15 oxtail won't go to $5 if you waited?"
He said that. He actually said that. He doesn't know if it's not going to go any lower, but he's getting it right there.
Also,
a good deal is a good deal.
Yeah, GR Houston Jack says, "Thank you, Dr. Vibe. I'm in Houston to visit family this weekend. Had to tune in for the financial tips." Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. And then Dr. Tachi, hello, says, "Good day, all." And also she says, "Now, where can we find a bald Bayesian spectacle?" And then GR Houston Jacks says, bald agent with specs. All right. 100%. All right. Got a question here. The Macmillan Group says, so my question, Wayne, is what is the recommendation for average income earners to capitalize on this chaos? Most don't have enough money to take advantage of the stock market swings.
Yeah, fantastic.
Average income earner.
Yeah. Average income earner in Canada is about $70,000. This is the household income of a dual income Canadian family, $7,000. And, you know, when I do this, which is why I do the analysis, because if you can't pay for your Presto, this is your bus pass for those of you who are not in Ontario. If you can't pay for your Presto, don't be worrying about the price of Nike and the price of Apple. We need to take care of first things first. So everyone should be saving. Even if you're in full debt, you need to save. You cannot say Visa and MasterCard and Amex are more important than your financial future. Every day, your future self is hoping and praying that your present self makes good decisions in alignment with that future self having a great retirement. So your 65-year you, your 75-year-old you, 85-year-old you is looking at you today and saying, hey, I need you to smarten up, because what financial investing is really about the doubles. How many times can your money double between now and when you need it? There's asset accumulation phase, and then there's asset distribution phase. Accumulation, distribution. Most people are in accumulation phase. Roger's analogy of the 37-year-old, that's accumulation phase. Keep accumulating. Why? Because you need to get the doubles. Someone who has the rule of 72 is very clear. 72 divided by your rate of return is how long it's going to take for your money to double. 72 divided by your rate of return is how long it's going to take your money to double. Those of you with savings accounts at the major banks in Canada are getting 0.5% of your savings. But maybe I'm lying. Maybe you're getting 1%. 72 divided by 1 is 72 years from $1 to become 2. Are you kidding me? But they give you credit cards at 21.9%. Oh, it has points. You can go see a movie for free. You can get 3% off at Costco. Well, guess what? That 21%, 72 divided by 21, the money's doubling every 3 years. So the bank's getting more doubles than you. That's why the bank wins $3 billion per quarter. So my recommendation for someone is you must pay yourself first. I don't care if you're making minimum wage or you're making $1,000 an hour. You must pay yourself first. And what you do with that money is key, because the money must beat inflation. When inflation was 8%, your money needs to make 8 to be at 0, the real rate of return. It needs to make 9 to make 1%. Today, rate of inflation is somewhere around 2%. That means your money must make 2%. Well, guess what? If your high interest savings account is paying you 1.5, you're losing. And because it's in the wrong account, you're going to pay tax every year. Insult to injury. But if you would just listen to the Bajan, the spectacle, bold, wizard, move that money from the institution where your estate is taxable over to where it is out of your estate, segregated from your estate. At a minimum, if you just do that, your family gets the money within 30 days of me receiving the death certificate. No will required. So for those of you, the 80% of you who don't have a will, your family will get the money within 30 days, tax-free, creditor protected, bypassing the estate.
Can you just double down on it and explain to people why it is imperative for them to get a will? Because the 80% is a scary number. And is that 80% in the Black community or the 80% of Canadians?
I've been doing this a while, Roger, and I can tell you that the numbers are scary in the Black community. In the non-Black community, I have clients of all cultures. We're about 55% that will have one versus not having one. But in our community,
20%.
It is. I was in the Jane and Finch corridor and doing a seminar for kids and for adults, and I said, if you were born in Canada, raise your hand. About 4 people of the 34 people that were there, 4 people put their hand up. I said, fantastic. I said, if your parents were not born in Canada, raise your hand. almost the entire room. Fantastic. I said, okay, if you have an up-to-date, notarized will, living will, and power of attorney, please raise your hand. I can still hear the crickets, Roger. Zero. And then I had to go and tell them what I had to tell them in the way I tell them about having all your business out in the street and no one, and wondering why people are staring at you. If you don't have a will, living will, and power of attorney, you're leaving your decisions to the government of Ontario, the government of Quebec, the state you live in the United States. And this is universal. I don't care if you're in Canada, the United States, or any other country. If you don't have instructions on what you want people to do, if you're in a coma, we just had COVID, right? Just the other day, 5 years ago, right? We just had COVID. If you were in a coma for 6 months, Roger, you didn't die. You come out of it. But no one had power of attorney to go and pay your bills and do that transfer. I see all the young people do. The wife has a bank account. The husband has a bank account. Then they have a bank account in the middle, and they both put money into that one account because they want to keep their finances separate because they think this is a flex, right? And that husband now is in the hospital, and he can't put his end into that middle account, and she doesn't make enough money to cover his end. Yeah, your credit is trash now. So you recover. Yeah, they're clapping at the hospital because you're being released. You ring the bell or whatever you got to do. You come out of the hospital, straight into bankruptcy, straight into foreclosure. Why? Because the mortgage wasn't paid for 6 months. The car that you're driving the bills weren't paid for 6 months. The tow truck is there and the sheriff is there to come and take your property. And your wife is like, "We have the money." This is the sickening part of it. Sickens me to the bottom of my stomach. I know the money is in the account, but they can't get it. You don't have the authority to do so. So you're giving, I used to say it with Trudeau and Doug Ford, one's gone. Now it's Carney and Ford are in charge of your family's financial future. Let me ask you a question, Roger. Based on your outcomes as a man of color, do you believe the government of Ontario and the government of Canada and the CRA are going to work in their best interest to ensure the Dundas family is well taken care of and pays the minimum amount of taxes and fees?
I don't have to worry about that because I have a will and power
Exactly.
of attorney and everything. I don't have to worry about those things. I've had a will from I was 21. I tell people all the time. They're like, 21? Yes. I say, yeah, I had the benefit of having a sister who was a Wayne.
Yes.
She sold insurance. So
yes.
that at least, that was one of the things that she insisted, not just the insurance, but also to have a will. Because the money needs to go somewhere. You have savings, even if it's $1,000. You want to give it to Carney and Ford, or you want it to go to your favorite nephew? I mean,
exactly.
Yeah. So this is the thing. Yeah. So I just want you to double down on it because there's still some people. What's the cheapest way to get a will drawn up for you?
Yeah. So
besides doing it yourself.
Yes. So you can do a holographic will where you write it down yourself in your own handwriting. Cannot be typed. You write it down yourself and you sign it. That's a will. Done. All right. You have a will. Here's a challenge. Someone says, you know what? That's not Roger's handwriting.
Yeah.
I don't trust it. Let's contest it and see if we can delay this thing enough for me to put myself in position to win all his assets. While the person who can't afford a lawyer on the contesting. That's one, holographic will. Second kind of will, go download a will kit. There used to be a store called Grand and Toy back in the day. You go get a will kit. Staples has them today. You go buy.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll go back to consumer distributing on you. I'm OG.
Oh my God. With the magazine, with the
the catalog.
Was
it on Bell? What's the show? It was on Dufferin, and it was a one-off of Dufferin. Whatever. Keep on going.
Dufferin and Lawrence.
Yeah, Dufferin and Lawrence area, just in that area. Yes.
Yeah, every Christmas you get the catalog for toys you knew you weren't going to get. Right. So what you're looking at here is the ability to get these documents done. Staples has a will kit. You can do it there. The key here is if you don't know what you don't know,
That's it.
and you put it into, you codify it, you might be doing yourself a disservice. So having software that can walk you through, what does this question actually mean? Do you have any other domestic contracts? It has a little question mark. You open the question mark, it explains it. You say, oh, that's what it means. No, I don't have any of those. And you go through. So I have a facility for clients where you do your holistic planning with me. There is a product that comes with an insurance policy. There's 2 companies that do it. And those 2 companies provide you with the software to do your will, living will, and power of attorney. It's included in the insurance that you buy.
Right.
So you don't have to go buy anything. All you have to do is take it and go to a notary at Walmart, $30 per document, and get the notary to get it notarized, and then give it to the executor. Give it to the executor. Let the executor know they're the executor. The executor is the person who takes care of business for you after you go. Make sure you have guardianship worked out, because the executor may not be the guardian. If you have minor children, who's going to take care of the kids? And then make sure you have power of attorney for health and power of attorney for property. They're different, 2 different documents. One is, do I pull the plug? Do I not pull the plug?
Yep.
The other is, can I go to the bank and pay your bills for you while you recover? Now understand this, the power of these 2 power of attorneys, the key word is power. They are unlimited if you make them unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
You better trust the person that is going to do the power of attorney for you, because they can devastate you financially. They can do everything you can do, except some of the exceptions, like sell the house, not sell the house. Maybe you can put that in there, but they can't change beneficiaries on insurance policies. This is key.
Yeah.
This is key.
All right, just one update here. Heather Harris says, love your sister, Roger. And Macmillan,
Me too.
yeah, there you go. This is a good me too. The Macmillan Group says, LOL, my first job in Canada was at Grandin Toy.
Wow.
Let's go.
Oh, wow.
Let's go.
Oh, wow. Another has a question. As a Macmillan Group says, as a former financial advisor, circa 94 to 99, and current real estate focused investor, how do opportunities in real estate investing compare to the stock market in terms of riding this wave in?
Whew. That's a powerful question, Godfather. I appreciate
that's a
you.
separate show.
Yeah, that's a deep one, because buying a house to live in is not an investment. Okay, especially
Say it again, please.
For the people in the back,
Yes.
buying a house to live in is not an investment. It's someplace you're living. Cash flow is going out to the bank paying the mortgage. There's no cash flow coming in. In order for it to be an investment, it has to have a return that's coming in, cash flow. Now, in Ontario, up until COVID, well, just after COVID, you could pretty much bank that you buy a house for X and you would get back X plus whatever. You can no longer bank on that. On my street, there are people who listed their homes for months, 3, 4, 5 months, and got $200,000 less than they were expecting. If this was 2021, 2022, they would have got that number and more, but it's not 2021, 2022, 2025. And in 2025, this bubble that Canada has been sitting on for many, many years, much of this bubble caused by the current Prime Minister and his policies, which have devastated the housing market in Canada and done the same thing in the UK. You can go do your homework on that too. And I'm not pro-Carney or anti-Carney, but I can tell you this. When you drop interest rates to almost zero, knuckleheads are going to get into the market that should not be there. And because there's too many knuckleheads in the market is going to explode with demand, which makes it a seller's market, which increases the price. Then you increase interest rates. And now those knuckleheads are coming out. The only analogy I can use is when you watch Star Trek, and Star Trek, they're going through warp space, and they're going through, and you see the white going through as they're going through warp, and they come out of warp, and there's freaking war, and everything's going into chaos because it just came out of a warp, and they got, Mr. Sulu, pull back on the stick because you're going to hit what's in front of you because everything has been destroyed. People went into warp 5 years ago at 1.9% interest rates and coming out of warp at 4 and 5% interest rates. Guess what? Your income didn't double, but your cost just doubled.
Triple.
So you have a problem. You have a problem. And this is the problem people are having now. There are 2 million Canadians coming out of warp at double their mortgage costs. And their incomes have not doubled because incomes in Canada, the average income for a Canadian family back in 1990 when I got here was $53,000. The average income for Canadian today is $57,000 in 35 years. It's a problem. It's a problem. So real estate for investing purposes, I'm all for it. But in markets that make sense. Ontario doesn't make sense. Alberta makes sense. New Brunswick makes sense. Manitoba makes sense. Nova Scotia makes sense. But not BC or Ontario. Quebec might make sense. The further you get away from the epicenter, the more reasonable Quebec becomes. But Quebec has the most devastating rental controls that you'll ever see as a landlord.
Mm-hmm.
If you think Ontario is bad, go to Quebec. I lived in both provinces. I speak from authority.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If a tenant wants to do you dirty in Quebec, there's nothing you can do for a while. If they want to do you dirty in Ontario, there's nothing you can do for a while. Not true in other countries, like the country that has just imposed tariffs on us. And they have some states where the landlords have great power. And there's a gentleman who asked a question who knows more about that than me. And that's a show to talk about investment opportunities and have income opportunities. Not only are you getting houses less expensive. A house in Niagara Falls, Canada is $650,000. You walk across the bridge and go to Niagara, New York, the same house is $175,000. It doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, it's not going to make money.
Right.
You got to work too hard to make money in Canada on rental income because the cost principal is base loan, interest on that loan, taxes on that property, and then maintenance. You have to cover all four of those before you can make a dollar. And let's not even talk about the condo market. Please bring the Godfather Ray McMillan on to talk about the condo market going on in Canada. If you're buying a condo to invest, you better be absolutely wealthy and not need the income coming in from that condo.
Negative.
You need to have negative capital losses to help you with taxes and other things that you're doing because you bought that condo. But let me tell you, condo as an investment, when the condo boards are not trained in real estate, they're not mortgage brokers, they're not real estate agents, they're just regular people called NIMBYs, not in my backyard. And they decide they don't want Airbnb, and you are making all your money on Airbnb, and they have a vote of the board at the AGM, and it's over for you because somebody threw a party on their floor, and they happen to be president of the board, and they say, nah, no more parties, it's over, and we're going to vote.
So
Let me
I
tell
think
you.
you just answered Ray's question that stock market, yes, real estate invested, not so much. Not so much.
Listen, if I did not buy my house in 2006, okay, I sold my last house and I was renting, and 2008 came, and I know what I know today in 2008, and I took all that money I made from my first house, all that tax-free equity, and put even $100,000 in that market in 2008. I'm a multi-millionaire today for generations to come. I took that money and bought my house here in Peel, and I'm doing okay. It's tripled. But you know what I had to spend on windows, on roof, on air conditioning, on furnace, on main floor, on kitchen?
Yeah. Plus,
Let me
it's an
listen.
unrealized gain. It's an unrealized gain because you haven't sold it yet. So you don't even
Correct.
know what's going to happen when you're ready to sell. It
Correct.
might be a whole different price, as you just said earlier in the previous example. You know,
Listen.
3-6 months on the market. Who to tell what's going to happen?
Listen, people going into warp at 1.9, coming out at 4. Last I checked, 4 is double 1.9. That means you need to have double the money. Now the interest rates are coming down. I'm expecting now because of the tariffs that the Bank of Canada will see the clear and present danger, and they will adjust down probably 2 basis points. So 0.5 drop coming in April. Ray will know more about that than me. But if your survival is dependent on things that you can't control, you have too much house. You have too much house, right? If you're sleeping nice because interest rates are 2% and you can't sleep because they're 4%, you might have too much house. You might be living above your means.
All right, let me just jump in. Ray says again, interesting, Wayne, at a recent workshop in Jamaica, I shared the same thing. I don't like low interest rates. It messes up my investment opportunities. Novices flood the market. He also says, and your rental income is also similar, Wayne, between the two Niagara cities, price to rent ratio. He also says in Jax, which is Jacksonville, where Ray's in right now, he says the condo board has to approve your tenants. Total insanity.
What?
Yeah. That's modern day redlining, Dr. Vibe. That's modern day redlining.
Fascism to me.
And then he also says the opportunity is not in what most folks think. It is not only buy to rent, it is buy to redevelop. That is the real opportunity.
Yes, that is it. That is it. Buy some land, build.
Yes. Listen, if you only understood the amount of taxes and levies and fees for developers to put a shovel in the ground in the province of Ontario, you will understand why the pricing of houses is crazy. Right? The cities, the municipalities decide what type of property goes on that land, how it's zoned, all those different things. And if they like the developer, they will do things. If they do not like the developer, they will not do things. If you're a friend of the family, they will do things. Like the Greenbelt thing that we just went through. If you're not a friend of the family, you can't touch that land. This is very arbitrary. And I don't like arbitrary things. Why I like math. Because math doesn't care if you're black, white, Latino, Asian. 1 + 1 is 2. I like it. I do not like the Russian figure skating judge. I remember the first time I saw a blatant teeth out of figure skating was Sonia Bonoli back in the 80s. The black figure skater from France, and she did a backflip that men can't do and got a silver medal. I was like, that's some BS, right? Because it's subjective, right? Why would you want to do things in life that are subjective to people who don't know you, don't like you, and don't want you to win, but yet you're going to put yourself in position to be subject to them? Doesn't make any sense. Time for another show. But the bottom line here is investment real estate, when the math is done right, and this Ray can help you with the math, cap rates and certain things that you need to know about, right? To see what's the cost of the capital, what's the rent coming in, what the building cost me, does it make sense? All that math, Ray can walk you through. But let me tell you this. If you're going to get a rental property, make sure that the rate of interest on the loan is fixed. So there's no surprise. The amount of consumer proposals that I'm doing now for people who are like, whoo, they bought houses and places in Ontario that they would not live because it was the right price and the interest rate was basically a giveaway. And they made money for 3 out of 5 years, but the last 2 years have them doing Uber Eats, doing security at condos, doing everything they can to make money, to make the payments, just the interest, because they're so upside down. If you're going to get a rental property in Canada, fixed mortgage, my recommendation. Ray, if you have another opinion, you let me know. But I advise my clients, if you're living there and you can handle the volatility, like I was a commissioned person. So if I wanted to make more money, I just went on and sold something. Easy for me to make up the difference. But if you can't make up the difference, you must be on a fixed mortgage. And if it doesn't make sense in a fixed mortgage, deuces to that opportunity. It's not for you.
Heather Harris says Shura, S-U-R-A. Don't know what the significance of that is, but okay.
That's the figure skater.
Right,
Sure.
right.
Okay.
And just to update on the poll that we were running,
Oh yeah.
do you feel that 47's tariffs are fair? 33% say yes, 67% say no. Interesting.
Wow,
Interesting.
that's very interesting. Very interesting.
Very
Interesting.
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 And
I
they're
didn't
not.
know you had Trump supporters watching the show. I didn't know that. I thought you were left leaning or
No,
kind of in the middle.
I'm just a
Kind of in
host.
the-
No, I'm a host. Whoever comes on, comes on.
No, but
Ray,
yeah, I do have a question though. I do have a question. Sorry, go ahead.
Sure.
I just want to catch up. Ray says, 100% Wayne, you want to keep those unknown variables to a minimum on your real estate portfolio.
100.
Go ahead, Roger.
Yeah, so the question is this, and I think this might be the last question for today because it's 10:15. But so we have an election coming up, April 20th, right? We have MC, PP, right?
Yes.
So earlier you gave some stats about the Republicans and the stock market tanking in every scenario. What is the same comparison with the conservatives and the liberals in terms of who was in power when these things happened?
Okay. Good point.
And
So let's go
first
back.
question, and then the second question. In your opinion, which leader do you believe is better based on the platform that they have demonstrated so far, or they have unveiled so far for the Canadian people?
Yeah, that's a trap, Batman. I can't answer that question. But the first question is 2020 was Trudeau. 2000 was, who do we have in power at 2000? Paul Martin? Chrétien? No, Paul. No, it was Ignatieff and Dion and all those guys at that time kind of floundering around. Because 1995 we had the Gomery inquiry for Paul Martin. He was out. And was it Harper, or was it Ignatieff and Dion at that time? 1990 would have been Mulroney looking to transition to Chrétien, conservative. Listen, Stephen Harper saved our bacon in 2008. If the current government or the remnants of the current government was in power in 2008, it'd be a very different Canada. He had his hand on the till, and he plowed properly for Canada. Our banks were solid, no failures in Canada. So I got to give a shout out to Stephen Harper for that. With regards to the others, that's a Chat GPT search or a Google search.
I can give you a list. So we had Turner, Mulroney, Kim Campbell, John Chrétien, Paul Martin, Stephen Harper, Trudeau, and Carney. Those are the last prime ministers in succession.
That we know. The question is, when were they prime minister? During so 2020 we know was Justin. 2008, 2009 was Harper.
Okay. Harper was Harper was from 2006 to 2015.
Right. 2000 2000 was the inactive Dion show.
Well, that was Jean
was in power in 2000.
Chrétien, they have here.
Chrétien.
Yeah. From
All right. And who was in
2003?
Who was there for the meltdown in '87? That had to be Mulroney.
Let me just tell you. Yes, he was from September 1984 to June 1993.
Right. So
go ahead.
So the trend continues on both sides of the border, right?
What was interesting enough between the two, for me, in business, the Conservative Party delivered more family benefits to us. So we had more money, more benefits coming in as a family. But the Liberal government delivered more grants to minority businesses.
Right.
So it's been an interest and less family benefits, which I thought would have been the reverse, because the Conservative Republican is for the business people and the Liberal Democrats is for the people. But it's been flipped in Canada for us personal, for me personally.
Yeah.
That's what I've experienced. Yeah.
Let me tell you. There's a little group in Switzerland called the World Economic Forum.
A little group.
A little group in Davos. And the World Economic Forum shapes policy and culture for governments, large governments and entities and institutions. And Trudeau is a big supporter of the policies of the World Economic Forum, along with a number of other people on the planet that will remain nameless on this podcast. That to me is, I understand mentorship, I understand coaching, right? I have a coach, I have a mentor, and you want to get somebody who has done what you're doing. This is the key. Done what you're doing, done it better than you or did it before you, and can guide you on that. Last I checked, Klaus Schwab hasn't run any country. That's all I'm saying. So I learned this in the 90s. I said, take advice from people who are in life where you want to be. I do not ask people who are taking the bus what car to buy. I don't ask bald men which barber is the best one to go to. I don't ask people who are living in their mother's basement what house to buy. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Take advice. I don't ask
single people about marriage advice.
They always have an opinion. And they always have an opinion, right? 100%. So I take advice from people who are in life where you want to be. Which prime minister candidate is taking advice from people who've run economies the way we want the economy to run? And the last time Canada was killing it, we knew who was in power. It's just after 2008, 2009. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm going to say. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. Right? I think
different person though, different person, different leader. I think he was such a different leader, a different leadership style, and the mandate at that point was to balance the budget, right? So
correct,
not to run high debt. So it has been a shift in that. Well, I'm not even sure that the current leader of that party is going to balance the budget. I know that they're going to cut certain programs because we've seen that. He's already declared that certain things they're going to cut out in terms of their spending in support of indigenous people, in support of actually diverse groups. They're going to cut it. I think the guy from PPC is no different.
Listen, the Liberal candidate is highly intelligent, highly respected on the world stage, and ran the banks for a colony and a colonizer. Okay? This is an impressive resume. He has the ear of governments all over the planet because of that book of business that he did while he was here. On the other hand, we have a candidate who, and again, fact check me, hasn't had any experience outside of going to school K-12, university, and then going into politics, but has been mentored by some of the best and has been a part of the cabinets of some of the best of his ideology. At a time that Canada is vulnerable because of our inefficiencies and ineffectiveness of our own internal policies. Before Trump shone a light on it, we were ineffective. We didn't have a pipeline going to Vancouver. We didn't have a pipeline going to Nova Scotia. We have to send our oil to the United States and have it refined down there and then buy it back. There are no refineries in Alberta. How is that even possible? Right? Irving had the refinery in the east, and then the pipelines were canceled. They couldn't do that. So we have a parallel course. We need to work with the largest economy on the planet, which happens to be our next door neighbor. And the fact that we can drive there, we have an advantage over everyone else on the planet other than Mexico. So we need to take advantage of that proximity because that reduces costs in the supply chain, right? Rather than going on boats, you can get on trucks or on rail and get your goods to market. It's a massive advantage, which is why we kind of got lazy over the since World War II, because it was right there. Right? It's right there. Every time you went to your neighbor's house, he had a barbecue. You don't buy a barbecue. You said Bob's always cooking the good stuff. I come with a nice bottle of wine. I'm not coming with my two hands swinging like some of my people come to my house with the two hands swinging.
Name names.
I saw people come with. Some people literally came with Tupperware because they're gonna take food home.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, those people are few and far between in my orbit today.
Yes.
But let me tell you, they still exist. There's still a mindset. Canada has an opportunity. Trump has given us an opportunity to take a look in the mirror as to what we have done as a G7 nation with our own productivity issues, like 1.8%, we're one of the lowest in productivity in the G20. It's embarrassingly low. And say, what are we going to do to fix our internal issues? We're going to deal with the tariffs, but in parallel with the tariffs are short term. Because Trump is only here for 4 years.
Well,
right?
you never know.
Allegedly.
Right.
He wants to run for a third term. So
listen,
we'll put Obama against him to run against him and see what happens.
Yes.
That's what they're saying. Yeah. If he wants to run for a third term, Obama is going to come back.
Listen, they can
whoop him.
I think it was Roosevelt who tried to get a third term, and they said he won the war, and they wouldn't give it to him. So we'll see. But what I'm saying is Canada has a massive opportunity to say, listen, how about we get that high-speed train between Quebec City and Toronto? How about we get that done? How about we get rid of the interprovincial issues that we have and let people, the barrier, and how about we take care of that? How about we reduce or eliminate developer fees so a house that costs $350,000 to be built, the developer should make some money, should be able to be sold for $400,000 or $500,000, not $300,000 in development fee, forcing that house to now become $7, $8, $9, or $1 million. How about we become more productive, right? Canada is very labor intensive versus technology intensive. America, when found the same thing, that they were very labor intensive rather than technology intensive, so they outsourced to globalize their supply chain in order to reduce the cost of labor, which is 70% the cost of most products is labor. So when you come into an environment where you're going to repatriate labor, there are certain people who specialize in making sure that labor gets paid fairly and well. And business doesn't like those people. So we got to figure out what the balance is. And whichever prime minister has the people in their inner circle to help us get to that end game, which is we're 80% dependent on the United States. If the next prime minister can make us 75% dependent on the United States, that's a win.
Yes.
Because it took us almost 80 years to get to where we are. You're not going to get it done in 3 years. This is Canada 2050, Canada 2060. Someone needs to be thinking about the long term, not just the election, not just the next 4 years or 5 years they're going to be in power. Someone needs to be thinking about the future self of Canada and what that looks like. And I would hope that with the rise of the continent of Africa, with the youngest population on the planet, 1 billion people, average age 29, Africa has a lot to offer if you don't look at Africa like less than. If you treat Africa with respect.
China doesn't.
Well, you know what, China is, we can talk about who was in Africa for the last 200 years and what their body of work is and what China has done in the last 25 years and their body of work. I see more skyscrapers, more highways, more hospitals, more seaports, more airports today than I ever have in the history of the continent. And I have not been there, so I'm not going to speak it with authority. I know, Roger, you just came back from Ghana a couple of years ago, right?
No.
You can.
No, he's never been.
Did your wife not go to Ghana?
No, she went to Rwanda years ago.
Okay. I'm getting my people mixed up, but there's a massive opportunity in Africa There's a massive opportunity in South America. There's a massive opportunity in Asia. There's a massive opportunity in Europe. And to Carney's point, he said the carbon tax ideology that is in Europe, in order for Canada to even have a chance to trade with Europe, they need to adapt and adopt some of those carbon tax policies in order to have access to that market. But I think he's looking in the wrong direction. He should not be looking.
Sorry.
All right, Roger, I know you got to run.
Yeah.
I got to run. Wayne, thank you so much. We really appreciate everything that you do, brother.
You're welcome. Thank you, man.
The intellect and the information. Always.
Thank you. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to eating
Restaurant
some food with my brothers.
Yeah,
Let's go. Restaurant.
All
week.
right.
Let's go.
Take care,
All right.
Roger. Thanks
Take care.
again.
Cheers.
All right. I know we're probably coming down, but to a few last things. Macmillan Group says, I prefer conservative governments for reasons too many to list here. And then FBA says, salute. And I think this is our final conversation piece for the day. Macmillan Group says, would say, Wayne, that conservative governments on both sides of the border are better for the economy, and will tariffs, help the U.S. and Canada come out with stronger economies in the long run? What do you say?
I say that tariffs bring people to the table to have discussions about things that have been protected for years that may no longer need protecting, and there's a lot of pain in those communities that have been protected. Those boards, the dairy board, the beef board, the agriculture board, all those, the cheese board, all those different people that are out there that have special interests. There's going to be some pain before there's long-term gain. If your eggs are better, we will buy your eggs. If your eggs are not better, we will not buy your eggs. Let the market decide. If American eggs come in and they're cheaper because they're dumping the eggs on the Canadian economy to kill our egg farmers, this is why the tariffs are there. Because given an opportunity, they are 10 times larger than us in population, and their economy is far beyond ours. So if we want to have our local people be able to compete, some protections need to be in place. What those are and what they aren't, I'm not an economist. They'll figure it out. But I would like to buy a car from the United States without paying any tariff or duty. I would like to buy certain things like Nike shoes and different things that I would buy from the United States without having to pay a tariff. I'm already paying the exchange. I'm already paying HST. Why do I need to have a tariff on that? Because show me the Canadian shoe that competes with OnCloud, Hoka, and Nike. And if it's of the same quality and comfort, I will buy it. That's all I'm saying. So is a free market only a theory? Maybe. Do you have to have some protections? Because all the farms in Quebec immediately go out of business if Vermont starts sending milk to Canada. It will be cheaper because they're doing it at a scale that we just can't do. So there's got to be some protection. They'll figure it out. That's what they do. But we need to know that if we're going to compete on a global scale, we need to be at least as good as anyone else out there to compete. Otherwise, we're done.
All right. Good stuff. I think we will call it a wrap on that. One last thing, or that not Wayne has to do anything, but if you are still here on the Dr. Vibe YouTube channel, one last engagement piece. Love you to rate the overall quality of this show. 1 to 5. 1 being that was 5 being it was out of bounds. So put that number, any number 1 to 5, in the comment section on the YouTube channel if you're watching live on the Dr. Vibe YouTube channel, and press the enter button, and we'll get a live poll. All right. That is fantastic. So do we have any other comments? Yes, we have another. Oh, yes. Let's just see. GR Houston Jack says, thank you all for the conversation. Enjoy the day and have a safe weekend. Good stuff. That was all the way from Houston. All right, we got some votes coming in, so I will just share in real time. what people are. And I had a feeling this would come up, but you never know. People are people. And where we go, 5 out of 5, 100% everyone who has voted.
I'll take it. We
100%.
went a little long, but I appreciate everybody for staying back. Have a great weekend, Doctor, and everybody who came on. Enjoy. Heed the lessons. Reach out to your boy. I'm here.
The contacting information is there. It's there.
Poverty is a choice.
Yeah.
Right? Poverty is a choice. Let's get our minds right.
Let you go. See you, and always all best to the family, and congratulations on the new office opening.
Thank you.
Did you get rid of your desks?
No.
Okay. We may need to talk about that offline. All right.
Okay.
All right. Take care, my brother. Keep the faith. All right. There we go. 100%. There is another conversation. Just to update that poll. Everyone's giving 100%. Love it. Just want to show it one more time for everybody on the screen. Here we go. 5 out of 5. Fantastic. I'm enjoying. I'm in a phase right now. I'm learning a lot of new software, like this software, AI software. I really enjoyed the other day on the Monday show going into Notebook LM. The things I'm doing with that are absolutely amazing. So if you want to find out more about that, reach out to me and I can show you some of the wonderful things that I'm finding out about that stuff. All right, let's get off the screen here. And let's see what we're going to do. Okay, let's finish up with this. Okay, gotta go here. All right, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. As always, thank you. If you haven't subscribed and you feel like subscribing, please love to hit 1760 by Monday if possible. Like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Email me at vibe at the vibeshow.com. Actually, in the next show or two, I'll actually put the link that you need to just click on for join the YouTube channel. The Walla Mala was on. I did a show last night just to test out the EVMux platform, and she brought that idea to my mind. To advertise your business product or service on any of the platforms I'm a part of, please feel free to email me vibe at the vibeshow.com. If you want to get a hold of, you know what? I'll put it up here. Wayne, his website is WayneHarrisConsulting.com, Instagram at Wayne Harris Consulting, an email address, WayneHarris905@gmail.com. Buy Blacks information. Website, buyblacks.com, Instagram at buyblacks, Facebook, Buy Blacks Canada, X, Buy Blacks, TikTok at buyblacks.com, and then YouTube, buyblacks.com. The .com is actually spelled out. Ryan, website, RyanOneilKnight.com, and that's Knight with a KN, not an N. LinkedIn, Ryan Oneil Knight. Instagram at Ryan.Knight99. Email workwithme, RyanOneilKnight.com. If you want to get a hold of me, website, the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show. Instagram at The Dr. Vibe Show. X, drvibeshow. Email dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Also, you can catch Dr. Vibe on Substack, and there's the link there, drvibe.substack.com/subscribe, and also on Blue Sky at drvibe.bsky.social. Wow, that was a lot. And you can catch replays of this epic conversation called the Morning Vibe on the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, Afro Caribbean Business Network on Facebook, and Ryan Oneil Knight on YouTube. Okay, we are done. Thank you, Mark Lewis. Saw your emojis there. Good to see you as always, my brother. All right, before we sign off today, at the front end of the show, I mentioned we've been very blessed, the Morning Vibe family, to have a wonderful intern, Shirley, assisting us in regards to helping produce. So when you saw the comments going up, that was Shirley doing all that stuff. I want to say a sincere thanks on behalf of Dr. Vibe and the Morning Vibe Show family and the Dr. Vibe Show family to Shirley. She has been amazing to work with. She's kept me on my toes. She's made this better. and she's really educated me. Shirley, I want to thank you for all that you brought to the table. Really appreciate you, appreciate your mother, appreciate Prince, and it's not done. I am here to support you going forward. So I really appreciate everything that you've done for Dr. Vibe, the Morning Vibe Show family, Dr. Tachi. We all appreciate, support, and love you, and we're here. We are here to help you out. So for the last time, Shirley, you'll hear this live. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller, get stronger. Block assumptions. Then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history. Try to do both and make it better. And coming up on the weekend, Primetime Saturday with Isha Lala, tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. And then on Sunday, Black Canada Talking with Cesar Nadima Musa at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. And Black Men Can Talk, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith. And thank you, Shirley.
This whole thing of using your business with plant-based products, don't you think your life should reflect that too?
Juke him, Carolyn, juke him. The family loves us here because they're saying Fitness IQ Can says put a wig on to get in.
Oh my God!
Like the ideas are just coming fast and furious here this morning. What? Okay, look at this. Global Women Ambassador. Good morning. Look forward. Okay.